Good afternoon, everyone. I hope all is well. I hope all is well. This is Align with Alison. You are now joining me for my weekly live Q&A. So as you roll in, please let us know who you are and where you are from so that we can cordially invite you and welcome you to the land of love. If you are new, this is the first time you see me go live, please go ahead and let us know who you are and where you are from so that we can appropriately welcome you to the land of love. Hello, hello. Welcome. Wiggy Wig Fall, that's an interesting name. Titanium Enterprise, thank you for joining. Fit and Well with Banky, thank you for joining. Sassoon, love the glow. Yes, this is actually leftover makeup, but I'll take the compliment. Yesterday, Andrew and I did our maternity shoot, and so the live hair, the fun big hair and the eyebrows, I tried my best to keep the eyebrows on. But thank you very much. I appreciate that. Hey, is it David? Hi, David from Atlanta. How are you? Shannon from Los Angeles. I don't think I've ever seen the name Shannon spelled like that. So shout out to you, Shannon from Los Angeles. Thank you for everyone else. Deja Du, I like that. Welcome. Thank you for joining. We have a whole lot of amazing folks. And if there's anyone who you think can benefit from the conversations that we have here weekly, then please go ahead and share this live with anyone who you think can benefit. Hi, Monique versus Erica. Who's Monique and who's Erica? My middle name is Monique, so I want to know. Hi, Tiff. Thank you, Titanium. Pregnancy looks great on me. So far, we got some time left. I'm hoping the nose stays the same. I hope the feet stay the same. All right, so let us jump in because I do have a brand new group that's starting today in 43 minutes. And then I'm finishing out a group that starts at 7. So time is definitely of the essence. Let us jump right in. All right. All right. So first question. Should I give more time to dating someone newly divorced than someone who's been single? Should I give more time to dating someone newly divorced versus someone who has been single? Okay, so when you say should I give more time, does that mean that are you giving this person more time to decide whether or not you're an appropriate match? Or are you talking about giving them time so that you think you may not want to go out on a date with them yet because you don't think that they're ready? I'm going to answer that in both ways, okay? So if you mean should I give more time to dating someone because they're newly divorced and so they might need more time in the relationship or in the courtship with you before moving on, I don't think that's the case. I think that a lot of people think about divorce as something that's a decision that's made very quickly, it processes very quickly, and then so now I'm a new divorcee trying to figure it out. Many times folks are mentally and emotionally divorced months or years before the document is filed, and then it's months or years until the document goes through. So this idea of someone is newly divorced, so by default they're not prepared to date, they're not prepared to commit, or you have to handle them with white gloves, I think is impractical because, again, in most cases when people are divorced, they've been divorced emotionally and mentally for months or years before the paperwork is even filed. And then we have to go through the process of filing the paperwork. So absolutely not. I don't believe you have to handle anyone with kid gloves just because they've gone through a divorce. Whether or not that person is prepared may have nothing to do with the divorce. It has to do with the inner person. There are people who have never been married who aren't prepared to date appropriately, who aren't prepared to commit, who don't desire to commit. The paperwork or not is not going to be the make or break on whether or not they're prepared to move on. It's an emotional and mental decision. Okay? Now, if you mean give more time, I think I answered it both ways. I hope so. Treat them the same. That's the point. All right. Next question. How do I keep the faith in dating when I feel like finding love keeps passing me by? How do I keep the faith in dating when I feel like finding love keeps passing me by? Okay, so the first thing that I want to say is, are we having a real valiant effort to date? I think a lot of us think that we are, right? Like, I'm really dieting, I'm really exercising, and then other than medical issues, I don't see any weight loss. Are you really dieting? Are you really exercising? Are you really putting yourself out there? Are you going out socially once a week? Are you actively on dating apps that are a good match for you? Are you having conversations with people? Do you help them? I don't know if this is a man or a woman. Makeup is in the name, so I'm gonna assume woman, but this could be for anybody. Are you helping the other person transition to in person? Like, are you asking questions? Are you engaging? We like to say that we're doing the work, and many times we're not doing the work, and then we're surprised. As a former educator, I can tell you that there are plenty of kids who have told me I turned in my homework and the homework quality was crap. So they failed anyway, right? Oh, I did the essay and they copy and pasted the whole thing. It was crap anyway. So I need you to do some honest reflection on when you say, how do I keep the faith when dating, when I feel like I'm never going to find love? Are you really putting your best foot forward, or are you half-assing it and then you're surprised when you're not getting the results? I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. I want you to be honest. Like, how much? And then when you do put yourself out there, are you emotionally putting yourself out there? So yeah, you might go out socially, or you might be on dating apps, and you might be conversing, and you might be going out on a date, but then are you difficult to deal with? Do you have all of these walls that have been built up where it's hard for anyone to get through? And then have an expectation that someone's supposed to be warm. This is the thing. There's this idea that people have of, you should love me for me. Yes. I should love you for you once I love you, right? Like, we got to get to the point where I actually love you. If we don't get to a point where I actually love you, then no, I don't have to love you for you if I don't even like you for you, right? Like, we have to be lovable first. We have to be likable first. This idea that I meet somebody and within 3 weeks, he have to take everything that I dish out and he got to love me for me. No, he don't know you. So how could he love you if you don't even know you? You gotta like you. Now, I'm not saying to be manipulative and to present one way and then show up someplace else. No. But I'm just saying this idea that people are supposed to 100% just accept you. You are not a dog and you're not a baby. So no one has to 100% accept you just because you're a human being on this earth, right? Respect you as a human being, but not necessarily love and commit to you. So we have to make sure that we're showing up as the best versions of ourselves. And if you're unsure whether or not you're showing up as the best version of yourself, then you need to go to a therapist, a mental health professional, a counselor, a coach, somebody to help you be reflective so that you know that we can't have this expectation that we're going to be dating creme de la creme. I want the best of the best, and you're not the best of the best. It's just impractical. It's just impractical. I cannot expect the best of the. I'm gonna get what I paid for, right? Like, you know, like what's the expression? I use this expression all the time with my husband. You gotta pay the cost to be the boss. If I know that I'm buying a $30,000 car, then my expectation is that $30,000 car is gonna come loaded like a $30,000 car would. Maybe there's other seats, maybe there's not. There might be AC, but it's not gonna warm the seats. Like, there's gonna be limits. Depending on what I come with is what I'm gonna receive. So I need folks to be more reflective, more honest. What efforts are you putting in? How are you showing up? And if there's anything that you think might be questionable, reach out to somebody to help you in that arena. Okay? What are your thoughts about dating a divorced man with children from prior relationships? What are your thoughts about dating a divorced man with children from prior relationships? It depends on what your non-negotiables are. So my thoughts are for me, right? So for me, the divorce part, as I explained in the previous question, would not be something that would impact me. If I met a gentleman and he was divorced, I wouldn't look at him in any kind of way. As a matter of fact, I would actually consider him someone who's experienced, someone who, once he was willing to get married again, because that's one of my non-negotiables, right? He's someone who's experienced. He's made mistakes. My hope is that he's learned from them. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to observe behaviors to see if he's learned from those behaviors. And someone who's willing to commit. If he was willing to commit 10 years ago and he made some mistakes, then he's more than likely to commit again. So I don't have anything against divorced people. As a matter of fact, I think that they might be slightly more ideal because they're the type of people who are willing to commit in the first place. It may have not worked, but they were willing to do it. And if they're willing to do it again, then they would be a good fit for me. Now, a man who's divorced with children from a prior relationship, only you can decide whether or not you're willing to date a man with children. That's every single person, a man or a woman with children. You have to decide that. We know that there are very clear potential cons. We know that, right? Like, we know that there's a chance that there's conflict between your new partner and the baby mama, the baby daddy, the ex-wife, the ex-husband. We know that there are financial responsibilities. Then that means that your new boyfriend, your new husband, your new wife, your new whoever is going to have to take on that potentially you might be legally responsible for if you get married. You know that there's going to be levels of time and effort and energy that's going to be spent outside of your home, as it should be, with these quote unquote prior children. So yes, obviously we know that there are lots of potential cons. You have to decide whether or not that's something that you're prepared to live with. You have to decide whether or not, and we're going to go back to practical, depending on how old you are, you might not be in a position to be as picky or as particular as someone younger than you. And it's not because if you're over 35, you are less desirable and blah, 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 blah. It's because the older we are, the older the people that we tend to date, the more inclined they are to have already started a family with somebody else. Maybe it didn't work out and they're single again. When I'm 25, I don't know percentages. I'm just going to give y'all a guess, right? If I'm 25 dating men who are 25, I am sure that 50% of the men that I'd be interested in probably don't have children. If I'm 35, 10 years later, that percentage is going to decrease. We also have to be practical about the stats too, okay? So my thoughts on dating divorced man with children: divorce, not a problem for me. Children, you have to decide whether or not that's problematic for you. Moving, found apartment that checks all my boxes, very close to the guy that I'm dating. Is this a good idea? Well, if you were going to move anyway, then move. You were going to move. So you were already moving. You found an apartment that's a good fit, and it happens to be next to the guy that you're seeing, then move. Because it doesn't seem as though you were moving for him. That just seems to be the icing on the cake. So go. You were going to go anyway, so go. Absolutely. Okay? I am in a relationship, but he tries to punish me by not answering calls sometimes. I'm in a relationship, but he tries to punish me by not answering calls sometimes. I want to know, how do you know it's a punishment? Has he said that? Has he said, I am upset with you, or when I'm upset with you, I see that you're calling me and I purposely don't answer? And then I also want to know, if he blatantly says that, you know for a fact, he said it to you, you've watched him from a corner. That's the mess in my back. Don't judge me. I'm having a baby. Everything's a mess, okay? Have you watched him from a corner and you saw him look at the phone and turn it back down? How do you know it's a punishment? Sometimes we create scenarios. I know that I am infamous for this. Create scenarios in our head that may not exist. How do you know it's a punishment? Do you know that for a fact? Okay? Let's go with yes, you know it for a fact. He blatantly told you, when I get into arguments with you, I don't want to talk to you, and I see your phone calls and I don't answer. Let's assume you know this for a fact. Okay? I don't think that people are obligated to answer the phone every single time you call them. And if they are not in an emotional space where if what they have to say is going to be valuable to you, I don't think that there's anything wrong with not answering. I know that's not a popular answer, and I'm confident that most of you thought I wasn't going to say that, but that's exactly what I'm going to say. Everyone is not in a position to be mature and to discuss what you want to discuss in the exact moment that you're prepared to discuss it. Because guess what? If this was the other way around, and it was a woman who got into arguing with her man and she didn't want to talk to him, we would say, oh girl, don't answer the phone. If you're not ready, don't answer the phone. But because it's a man, I'm seeing some comments in here about this, that, and the other. If you're not emotionally prepared to take that call, if you don't have the bandwidth to take the call, don't take it. Someone said, what if it's important? Text him. Babe, I got a flat. Babe, I got in an accident. But everyone doesn't have to stop what they're doing and address the concern that you have in the moment just because you're prepared to do so. Because if it were the other way around and you weren't prepared, would you necessarily answer? For me, I'm a little crazy about the phone. I answer the phone every single time because I'm always afraid that something's going to go wrong. I watch too much SVU, right? But it's not outrageous. And I also think that if you know your man that he might need some time, then you need to give him that time. Yes, I see. Natalia says, should he communicate that? So the expectation is that he's going to be mature after every single argument, every single time, and say, I don't want to talk to you right now via text. He could do that. It can be that they can meet each other both ways. It can be that there's going to be some times where he's mature enough to say, look, I'm not in a position to talk right now. I need some time, and send that text, and we'd appreciate that. And I would also appreciate the fact that she knows that her man needs time, and so she's not going to necessarily call and text him unless it is something that's pressing. So I think both parties need to improve on reading the room. Both parties need to improve on learning how each one communicates, and both parties need to meet each other halfway, where sometimes he communicates and says, I'm not in a position to talk right now. Is it an emergency? What we just went through is a lot for me. I need some time. As well as she needs to read the room and know her man and know that he needs time. I can tell you for my husband, when it comes to decision making, he needs time. I cannot ask him, I cannot say, Andrew, do you think that we should sell the car, and expect that he's going to give me an answer in this moment. Any answer that he gives me in this moment is going to be an answer just because I asked him a question. And then it's going to be the next day, it's going to be, babe, I thought about it and I changed my mind, and then I'm going to be mad. And whose fault is that? I know that he needs time to process, to make a decision. I need to read the room. So if I know that I have something, I need some advice that I need from him, and it's not an emergency where I need an answer in this moment, I'm going to say, babe, I'm thinking about selling the car. I want to upgrade. I want this. I heard that this isn't good for the baby. I want to try that, blah, blah, blah. Could you look into some cars? Let's talk about it tomorrow. You got to read the room. This is your man. This is your woman. This is your wife. This is your husband. You got to know how they communicate, and you should adjust accordingly. And him as well. But you're the one who asked him, so that's who I'm telling. Okay? Hello, everyone who is just joining. My name is Alison. I am a certified dating and relationship coach. I primarily work with singles to help them find the love and commitment that they deserve. Every Wednesday, I do this live Q&A around 5 p.m. Eastern. I intend to keep doing this all throughout the completion, I guess is the right term, of the delivery of this amazing baby, as well as through maternity. So I will not disappear. I will not leave you. Okay? How does it work? So every Tuesday-ish, I did not do it yesterday because I had a beautiful, beautiful maternity shoot. I can't wait for y'all to see the photos. I do this. See, that's what happens when you get distracted and start talking about how beautiful and amazing you and your husband are. I post this story every Tuesday. I did not do it yesterday. I did it in the morning, and you can expect that it'll probably be a little bit less irregular, and you will be all right because this is free. And so when things are free, we're going to appreciate it, and we're not going to be annoying, because I had some people DM me for the free stuff, and I love you, and that's annoying. Okay? So I'm going to post it, and then you're going to drop your question in, and I will try my best to... Someone said, how don't you be out of breath? I be winded for talk, because talking is my skill set. Talking is my skill set, girl. I be winded when I turn around. I can't turn in bed right. Like, I can't. When I get on my back, I can't breathe. It's really terrible. But talking is what I do. And then I answer the questions on the live. Okay? That's how it works. That's how it works. Oh, thank you for purchasing the badge, Miss Jen. That was not no way to tell y'all to buy anything from me. I'm just saying don't press me for the free. That's all I was saying. All right? Let us jump right in, because I have my final group for the year that is starting today in 32 minutes. And I want to get through as many questions as possible. Unfortunately, Treasure, you cannot answer your question right now or ask your question right now. I take the questions in advance to make sure that I have enough time to cover everybody. So it's from Tuesday at 5 p.m. to Wednesday at 5 p.m. That's the cutoff. And then I answer the questions at 5. Okay? That's how it works. So, should you relocate for a relationship if it's not a city you desire to live in? Good question. Should you relocate for a relationship if it's not a city you desire to live, that you desire to live in? Okay, so this is my take. What is the status of this relationship? Really? You use the word relationship. Many times we use words that do not fully capture what the status is in our lives. Okay? Is this your man? Is this your woman? Have you talked about further commitment? Do you desire engagement? Do you desire marriage? Does he or she desire engagement or marriage? What is the timeline? I will tell you this. For me, I would not uproot my life for a boyfriend. I just wouldn't. I just wouldn't. I am not prepared to lose out. And I live in New York City where, the rent is crazy. The rent on my apartment before I moved out was like $1,100 for a big 1-bedroom. You're not finding that. I am not giving up my good big 1-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn, New York for a boyfriend. I am not leaving what was once my good city job for a boyfriend. Especially for a place I don't want to live in. But I don't even care if it was the most amazing city. Like, I live in New York. I already live in the most amazing city. But I don't care if it was Miami. I don't care if it was Paris. I don't care if it's some other beautiful, amazing place. You don't even like the city. I am not uprooting for a boyfriend. And I would not advise anyone to do it at any junction of their life, period. Sorry. It's too risky for what I've already worked hard and established. Now, we can look at this a couple of ways. Are you established, right? Like, is it any skin off your back to start anew? Some of us pretend as though like everyone's in the same situation. You might not be. If you just finished college and you ain't got shit going on where you are, and so it's no skin off your back, okay. If you're willing to try another place, then okay. But for me, I have established, before I was married, I established way too much of a comfortable lifestyle for me to risk it all for a boyfriend. It's not happening. Now, are you talking about a man that I'm engaged to? We have a date that is set and there is a deposit on a venue? Okay, that's a different story. Are you talking about a husband? Nothing to talk about. I'm a risk it for my husband, right? Because my home is where my family is, and legally and for me morally, that he is the number one person in my life, right? For right now, he's number one, and then mommy's number two, and sisters and cousins and all that kind of good stuff. So would I relocate for a boyfriend? No. Too bad, so sad, not happening. My life is, I've worked too hard to establish where I am now for me to uproot it all for the risk. Would I consider uprooting for a fiance? Yes. Would I relocate for a husband? Absolutely. That's what I would do if I were you. Okay? Is it a red flag for a man to tell me he loves me because he feels it? Is it a red flag for a man to tell me he loves me because he feels it? It depends on his ability to articulate. So I think the issue here is that you don't feel as though he is articulating to you very clearly exactly why he loves you. I want to know about his level of articulation in life. Is he an articulate gentleman? And I don't mean like, is he smart or is he dumb? But I'm saying, does he routinely have the ability to articulate an argument, a point in general? Like I just said, someone asked me, how do I talk all this and not run out of breath in 2 minutes? Talking is what I do. It is my area of expertise. It is the gift that God gave me. I'm gonna be talking through delivery. I'm gonna be talking probably on my deathbed and afterwards like a chicken with their head cut off. It's what I do. So if my husband asks me a question, I am confident that I'm able to articulate that argument because it's what I do. I talk, right? If this gentleman, and I'm sorry I'm being presumptuous, if this person, I don't know if he's, did you say he? Oh yeah, she said man. Okay, good. Now, if this man is just generally is a quiet soul, if this man is not someone who necessarily gets into the big words and descriptive and stuff like that, then this alone would not be a red flag for me. The fact that he could not articulate for me point for point why he loves me would not be a problem, right? But if this gentleman is one of those guys who can articulate every argument as to why LeBron is better than Mike and blah, 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 and he can explain and the gift of the gab, and then when it comes to me, he can't tell me why he loves me, then I'd be concerned. It depends on the individual, okay? How can I make a relationship last more than 2 months? How can I make a relationship last more than 2 months? Your vetting sucks. The reason why your relationships are not lasting more than 2 months is probably because your vetting process sucks. You're jumping into relationships without vetting people appropriately, making sure that they are an appropriate match for you, and that's why the relationships are not lasting. I'm not saying that every relationship that you're in is supposed to last forever. Absolutely not. As I shared with you guys on multiple occasions, most relationships fail. That is the math. Anyone that you know who's in a happy, fulfilling relationship or marriage probably had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boyfriends or girlfriends before that, and they all failed. That's how they're able to get into the healthy one that they're in now. That means that they have a 4 out of 5 failure rate for their relationships. 5 out of 6, 6 out of 7, 3 out of 4, whatever it is. Most relationships fail. So there's no expectation that everyone is supposed to last, because then we'd all be married to our high school sweethearts, and we know that that's not practical. However, if you, right, this goes back to mathematics and common denominators. If you have noticed that relationship after relationship after relationship that you're involved with or in, you're the constant, right? It's so funny. I used to hate math. You're the constant, and the variables are coming in, and you're getting the same results over and over again. Then that means that there's something that you're not doing, and it's probably your vetting process. You're not clear on what you want. As a result, you may not be asking the right questions, or you might know what you want, but you're still not asking the right questions. You're not paying attention to behaviors. You're not taking action when you realize that someone's an inappropriate match early. You're jumping into committed relationships without spending quality time with people so that you can vet them appropriately, and then you're surprised when it doesn't last. I know that was only 3 lines, and I made a lot of assumptions. But based on my experience of working with people, if you have been in relationship after relationship that does not exceed a significant period of time, I'm talking about you haven't had a relationship, you are in your 30s, you're in your 40s, you haven't had a relationship that lasted over a year, and this is happening repeatedly to you, then that means that you are the one who's doing something. And many times that something is not vetting people appropriately. That could be it. It could also be something related to trauma, right? Which is usually the more dramatic response. And that's not usually the case, right? Like, we use the word trauma a lot, but everybody hasn't been molested. Everybody hasn't been abused. Everybody hasn't been abandoned. Like, all right, so we don't have to be dramatic. But sometimes that's the case too, which means that you're not healthy enough to conduct yourself in a fulfilling relationship, and then that's why it ends. So that's something you can consider as well. You should reach out to a mental health professional, a therapist, a coach, a counselor, and get some legitimate feedback. Not that mine is illegitimate, but it's based on absolutely no interaction, right? It's all one-sided. And get some real insight as to what your particular problem is. But I can tell you, if it's you, and a different man, and a different man, and a different man, and a different man, then you're the common denominator, okay? If one of my non-negotiables is being a college grad with a 2 or 4 year degree, should I give a man with a high school diploma a chance? If one of my non-negotiables is being a college grad, 2 or 4 year degree, should I give a man with a high school diploma a chance? All right, we're going to break this down into parts, okay? The first part that we're going to break down is I need to know why one of your non-negotiables is that this person's a college graduate. What is it about a college grad that is going to love you more or going to make your life more fulfilling or amazing together? Is it income? Are we assuming, and I know that there's the stats and all that kind of, like, trust me, I'm a school counselor, so I know the stats that are directly related to how much education people have on average in comparison to their lifelong income, right? But is that the case, right? If that's the case, then I would think that we need to reposition your non-negotiable, because I know plenty of people, and maybe it's because I'm in New York City and so it's a different experience than others. I know plenty of people who do not have a degree who make more money than me. And I have 2 master's degrees. And I owe the people them $30,000. And I'm hoping that Joe Byron comes through and he forgives some of that, right? So if the thought is I want somebody with a college degree because by default they're going to earn more, which means that I will have, and we will have as a family, as a couple, a relatively easier life when it comes to finances, then I need you to rethink that, because there are plenty of people who do not have any college degree or limited experience who are making more money than me, that I pay them to do the stuff I wish that I learned how to do, and they're making buku dollars, and it's outrageous, and I'm mad. Me and my husband mad every time. the plumber, the electrician, the everybody is getting money from us, the college educated people. Okay? So if that's your reason, which is the only thing that I can think of, I think that you need to reframe that. And instead, if you're concerned about finances, what I recommend to my clients is that when they create their non-negotiables, that they use a term that describes something like financially sound, fiscally aware, some kind of terminology. That's what I recommend. Because you could even say that he has a college degree, he could have a PhD, and he's $300,000 in debt, and his finances are a mess. Somebody could be a doctor, top cardiologist in their city, making $400,000 a year, and they're living beyond their means. They haven't paid their back taxes. Like, if that's the issue, then I think that you need to rethink it, because even though I know on the grand scheme of things, statistically, yes, usually the more education someone has, the more money they make. That is not the case for many people. And so that's something I think that you should reconsider. As a result of me saying that, I would definitely give a man a chance with a high school diploma if his career is in place and he seems financially sound. If his career is in place and he seems financially sound. If he has a high school diploma and he is bussing tables at 2 restaurants, I know that he's a hardworking man and I appreciate that. Unfortunately, that's not going to be a good fit for me and the lifestyle that I lead now and the lifestyle that I intend to lead in the future with my husband and our children. And I know that's not nice, but I'm just telling you the truth, right? No, I'm going to be 36. I'm not giving people chances just off the strength of giving them chances. Does he have a high school diploma and he works for sanitation? And he has 10 years in and he's tenured. And he's up for supervisor and he's making $110 a year, right? Like, those are the considerations. Yes, money matters. I ain't gonna lie to you. When has Alison ever lied to you? Money matters, yes. But I'm not gonna make a decision solely based on their level of education. I wanna know their career. I wanna know their stability. I wanna know their desires, what their goals are. Are they leading a life that seems as though finances matter and they're monitoring it? Because finances matter. I ain't gonna lie. This is a capitalistic society. If someone says otherwise, then they rich or good luck to them. Okay? Did I miss any questions? I don't think so. And I got 18 minutes to go close my eyes and take a nap. I already took 2 naps today before I have my final group of the year. Ooh, all right. I missed this one. Found a great man, has an extensive sexual history. Tips on moving past this. Found a great man, has an extensive sexual history. Tips on moving past this. All right, so I got some questions. Number 1, how do you know his extensive sexual history? Did he tell you? Number 2, when you say extensive, and again, this is a one-way mirror, right? But when you say extensive, what's extensive? Because some people will say 5 is extensive. Some people will say 500 is extensive. Yes, babes, the live will be available later. I always save my lives, okay? What number are we talking about here? Even though I'll tell you that I'm not crazy about the numbers. I'm really not. But just for fun, I'd like to know. Yes, and Tiffany says, why are we talking about the history? I want to know, how do you know the history? Just for kicks and giggles, I'd like to know what you consider extensive, right? Because depending on who we're talking to and what their background is, extensive for one is a joke for another. And then moving past this. Okay, so what exactly do we need to move past? He's a great man, unless he literally is a sex addict. And I've worked with clients who have dated and been in relationships with sex addicts, right? Not the sex addicts themselves. That is not my area of expertise. But people who have dated them, like, unless he's an active sex addict or recovering sex addict, what does there need to get past? He's a good man. You're not giving me the impression that you think that he's cheating on you. He has some problem. We both go and get tested by the clinic. We both come back clean. This is the end of the conversation. This is the end of the conversation. And let me tell you, I would say that if this was the other way around too. And I know that men don't like that response. And I don't care, because I don't understand the correlation between someone who has a quote-unquote extensive sexual history and who they are right now and how they're showing up for you. There's nothing to get past, in my opinion. Unless this man has given you the implication that he is sick, literally, he's sick, and he can't stop having sex with other people. Unless he's giving you the impression that he's going to cheat on you based on something he's doing right now and not on the fact that he had plenty partners in the past, there's nothing to get past. You get your test, he gets his test. When you're ready to get sexually involved, if it hasn't happened already, you do it. But there should be no judgment here. You said found a great man. Do you know how many people are looking for a good man? Great, she said. Not good, great. And we want to be hung up on what he did in the past? That's not outrageous. That's not out of the norm in the secular society that we live in. He's not a molester. He's not a rapist. He's probably a good-looking man who had lots of encounters, and once his blood comes back clean and you clean, we good. Party done. Ain't nothing to talk about here. Okay? That's how you move past it. Be practical, because nobody's perfect. Okay. How to know when choosing the right man when you date? Oh goodness. How to know, it's not my fault, it's Instagram's fault, because the characters are so limited. But trust me, if we had more characters, you guys would write paragraphs and it's ridiculous. Book a session. How to know when choosing the right man when you dating post breakup. You're going to click the link in my bio. You're going to check out the free training, The Partner You Deserve. It's a whole hour plus, which discusses how to decide whether or not someone is a good match. Whether or not it's post-breakup. It could be post-break, or never pre-breakup, because that means you're cheating, right? But it could be post-breakup. It could be 6 months. It could be 5 years. But I talk about how to figure out whether or not someone is a seemingly good match. Seemingly. As I said before, dating is a process. As I said before, most of your relationships will fail. That is the nature of the game. If you look at the happiest couple that you know, they are in love with each other. Oh my gosh, it's so outrageous how much he just loves her and she just loves him, and they're just so happy, and you know it's real. Every boyfriend that she had before that, every girlfriend that he had before that, their relationships failed. That means 3 out of 4 relationships failed. Even for the happiest people, 4 out of 5, 5 out of 6, 6 out of 7. It is the nature of the game. Dating means collecting data. So I need you to click the link in my bio, check out the free training, and I give you a whole hour as to how you can tell whether or not someone is an appropriate match and seemingly right. You go through the dating process, you collect the information, you decide whether or not they're seemingly a good match, and then you continue to see them. If they are, you keep seeing them. If they're not, it's a-okay. You wave au revoir, and that's the end of the conversation. Okay? Someone asked, how do you learn to trust again when you've been out of relationships for years? You should speak to someone who is a mental health professional, a counselor, a coach, a therapist, or someone about your trust issues so that you can help or learn how to rebuild them. Okay? Is it wrong to expect the man to pay for all initial dates up to the point where you are exclusive? It's not my approach. I think it's in this day and age that we deserve some reciprocity. We got the same, and this is fake, girl. This is from Amazon. We got the same fake plant. Mine is leaning terribly, and it's hiding boxes and stuff. So, is it wrong to expect a man to pay for all initial dates up to the point where we are exclusive? That is asking for too much, in my opinion. I will tell you this: I am not paying for a first date, period. There is not a circumstance that I am paying for a first date. There is not one. There is not a circumstance where I'm asking someone on a first date. There is not one. But an expectation that he's going to pay for every single date up until this person becomes your partner is impractical, unrealistic, and not nice. Okay? I think that there should be some reciprocity. I think that eventually you should offer. I would offer around date 3, around date 4. Date 4 is real safe. We've been on 3 dates. I like you. I like spending time with you, and I'm going to offer to pay. But every single one up until you're exclusive, no. I think that's over the top. Okay? My single female professional daughter, age 31, wants to marry a twice divorced man with 2 kids. I'm assuming you're asking me, do I think that that's a mistake? Your single female professional daughter, age 31, wants to marry a twice divorced man with 2 kids. She's 31. She's a grown woman. Whatever she decides to do with her life is what she's going to do. The divorce thing, as I mentioned earlier, does not bother me. I'd like to know more details around why he's divorced twice. The children thing is something for each person to decide whether or not they're willing to take the quote-unquote risk of dating someone with children, because it does complicate things. Anyone who says otherwise is a liar. But she is a grown woman. And so stepping in between that, I don't think is ideal. Once you voiced your opinion once, she can decide what she wants to do. And that's the end of that. Okay? All right, beautiful people. I think that's it for the day. I have 9 minutes until I have my final group of the year is starting today. This is so exciting. I get to take a break. All right, so I am going to do that. Anyone who is just joining the live, thank you for joining. This will be saved. I'm going to be trying my best to do the weekly lives every Wednesday. I cannot guarantee it, but I am going to try my best to do so, and I'm going to try my best to still show up until I reopen my group. Groups will reopen in the winter of 2023. Yes, I am taking 5 months off starting from now. Okay, so if you didn't jump in, then sucks to be you. Sucks to be you. I'll be back in the winter, and then you can consider what you want to do with your life thereafter. If you want to continue to try to figure it out on your own and be unsuccessful, or you can invest in yourself and invest in your future. I will take one-on-one clients from now through the winter, but groups end today with my final group starting today in 8 minutes. All right, beautiful people, it has been a pleasure. This live will be saved, and I will see you next Wednesday. Have a wonderful evening. Bye.